9 podcasts.
And the other thing is, I was like, oh, this would be right. He normally does the Weekend Today show,
Yes,
which is normally in Sydney, and this was a Sunday morning, and this was my first and only class of ever doing this. So the chances of us aligning on this were like 1 millionth chance or whatever. And so I was like, oh, thanks, universe. You
Yeah, because
absolute arsehole.
Try before you die.
You excited about your pap smear later today, Liv?
So excited. Do you know what? The anticipation's always way worse than the actual thing, I find. Not for you. You don't find it pleasant, but it has to be done for female health.
No, it's very, very important, and I always get it done. But can I tell you what gets me? It's the scraping feeling inside your cervix or whatever it's scraping. Because I think there's nerve endings and stuff. It makes me nauseous like nothing else. Sorry, I shouldn't be talking about this, but just quickly, again, I probably shouldn't be talking about this.
I was going to say straight off the bat, we're like onto this.
Our dad has a medical practice in Adelaide, and when I used to live in Adelaide, I would go into that medical practice. Dad wouldn't do the smear. No. Calm down. There were females who would do the smear. And so Dad was working this one day. I had this smear, and a female doctor did my smear, and I was like, oh my goodness, I think I'm going to faint, because she'd been scraping and I just felt so ill from it. And then so she sort of rushed out to get some water and stuff, and Dad saw her and said, oh, is she okay? And this female doctor said, oh, she feels a bit faint. Dad was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
and she came in and she was like, oh. He was empathetic, but he was a bit like, oh, Eliza, because I am a bit dramatic with medical issues.
You're a real poussoir.
And so, yeah, there was a big scene at Dad's surgery with me having a pap smear.
Well, speaking of that though as well, because so many of our friends go to our dad's doctor's surgery and see various doctors there, and Dad has a room which various doctors use if he's not there. And it has our family photos up there.
God.
So I had friends being like to me, so I was having a pap smear the other day, not with our dad, but then the photo of you's like staring down at my vajayjay as I'm getting the smear. I just find that so awkward.
To be fair, I think he actually does smears on some of our friends.
I think he does too.
But they're professionals. It doesn't faze them. But it is.
And he would obviously never tell us because it's highly confidential.
No, he doesn't.
So I wouldn't want to know.
But my girlfriends have told me your dad's given me a smear. Like your
same,
dad's been in my
same.
cooter.
Oh, that's bizarre.
Isn't it bizarre? But
no, thank you.
Anyway,
no, thank you.
God, we're immature.
Wish me luck, because I already feel quite nauseous today.
Sorry.
So this could be a disaster. So it's been really nice hearing all the positive stories about it.
We mentioned this on Monday, Lib. If you miss Monday's ep, because not everyone listens to Monday, they just tune in to the Thursday, the Thursday. Shame on you, but okay, we forgive you, you know. We're now doing 2 eps a week. Mondays are a bit more rando magando. And then Thursday eps are still what we're famous for, which is the tries that you know and love. But we're choosing to throw our try net a bit wider. We're finding tries we're really passionate about in everyday life. They may not be as grandiose as you used to, but we think they're just as meaningful. We absolutely still intend to do the old school hectic tries, and we've got a cracking try today, fear not. But we want to sprinkle in tries we come across day to day that fire us up. And just as an FYI to everyone, we're both back working full time now. So, and we're not taking a wage from the podcast at the moment, so we need to be earning a living elsewhere. So, yeah, we're bringing you 2 eps now out of hours and off our own bats, and we're working hard to keep this passion project podcast alive for you. We just wanted to let everyone know the situation.
And hence, I think we don't have the time to be doing full day excursions to do things like the nude beach and nude life drawing. Oh, everything's nude that I'm bringing up. So, yeah, we're incorporating things that are happening, I guess, in our everyday lives that we hope are relatable to you guys anyway.
But we wanted to do that anyway. Even when we were doing the grandiose tries, we were like, oh, I want to talk about this. But also, when we can, we will do those grandiose ones. So I don't want people to think, oh, we're losing the essence of what Your Girl's podcast is about. No, like this week, it's amazing. And then next week we may talk about something else that fires us up.
correct.
But just don't be rattled if it's not what you're expecting. And also just be aware we're doing our best. And we hope to one day get to a point where this does become our full-time
Gig, yeah.
paid gig. And so then we can do these insane interstate and international tries for you.
And still send us recommendations about anything you want us to do. And it might be
Yes.
something as little as, reading a book or a new TV series or something like that. But also still suggest the bigger ones because if there is a time that we can both do it or, we will.
But also I'm finding some of the funniest and fun moments are coming from these little
same.
day-to-day ones. And we've got some great ones coming up. But Lib, as I aforementioned, a cracking try today. Hot, strong mat Pilates.
I'm not sure why you're calling it strong because it's not strong.
You do it with weights.
Okay, so you're just calling it that because you do it with weights. It's actually just called Hot Mat Pilates.
Okay, but you also have to be strong.
Well, not necessarily because you're not strong and you
And
did it.
what took place is in true Eliza and Liberty disaster fashion.
So I want to give everyone that doesn't know what this is a bit of a definition. So Hot Mat Pilates is a workout that combines the principles of traditional mat Pilates, which I actually haven't even done
No, me neither.
so I didn't have a clue, with a heated studio environment. It is low impact, high intensity workout that focuses on core strength, flexibility and balance. And it's usually between about 32 to 38 degrees in the room at its peak. Some of the benefits of this include improved flexibility, circulation and muscle recovery, and it also burns more calories due to the elevated heart rate and intensity of the workout. So it's like detoxification, stress release, better posture, enhanced muscle strength, and it's also quite a good mental challenge because you do have to push through the heat factor.
Oh, yeah, because you want to jump through a freaking window. It's so hot.
Yeah. But there are risks to it. Like if you're not hydrated, there is risk of dehydration and fainting and those kinds of things. But you just need to look after yourself and take the advice from the instructors about what to do during the class.
I also think it doesn't help that they shove 500 people in a room like sardines, but we'll get to that.
Well,
I have some feedback.
You've got to make your money's worth. But these hot and cold extreme workouts, as I think most people would know, they're a bit of a trend at the moment. They're sort of exploding in popularity. So you've got your hot Pilates, which we did, and your yoga. You've got your infrared saunas. There's actually infrared sauna workouts, which I've never heard of before. So literally doing a workout in a sauna. There's steam rooms. There's hot springs. There's, boxing-based hot workouts, dance-based lessons in the heat.
In hot.
Boxing in heat,
Nah, that ain't right.
And the benefit of those sauna workouts or infrared sauna things are that it penetrates deeper into the muscles and the tissues, more so than traditional heat, leading to various benefits for exercise and recovery. Then you've got your cold ones, so your ice baths, your cold plungers, your contrast therapy, so your hot and cold, and your cryotherapy. Now, thanks to pioneers like Wim Hof, incorporating extreme temperatures into fitness can offer impressive benefits. So there is actually some science-backed research behind these extreme hot and cold. So there is potential, impressive benefits. People are drawn to heated workouts because it is new and it's also like the it girl thing. You see so much on TikTok and Instagram about people jumping into the saunas and jumping
You're
into
rolling
these
your
workouts.
eyes, but you have been
Oh,
sucked right in.
100%. I'm one of these people. I do ice baths, cryotherapy, saunas, infrared light. I now love the heat workouts. So social media posts preach that heated workouts promise more results in less time. It's that whole fad thing of being like, burn more calories, look better, instant gratification. The classes attract people as they are perceived to, burn more calories. And so therefore, you're going to get a snatched waist. You're going to get this or that, which is not,
I didn't come out with a
amazing.
snatched waist.
I think you're going to do it more than once
Okay.
to see the benefits. But that got me thinking, why were we always told, if this is so beneficial for us, why were we always told by our parents jumping from hot to cold was bad for you? Remember they'd be like, don't go from hot to cold, you'll catch a cold.
No, I think you're thinking of don't swim when you've just eaten.
No. They used to say that
I
because
don't
they'd make you you'd vomit potentially if you ate and then jumped in the pool.
I don't remember
No,
don't go
yes,
from hot
they'd be like,
cold.
if you got it from like really, really hot to like freezing cold, they'd be like, don't do that because you'll catch a cold.
Well, I just think people have done more research. It is a myth that you can get a cold from being cold, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
I think that there's some sort of myth. I think obviously if you're out in the rain for 4 days straight, you're going to be ill. But I think if you're cold, I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but I think we've just done more research and now we know that this stuff is good for inflammation and recovery and all that bullshit.
Who knows? Do you know what though? In 5 or 10 years' time, it'll be like, extreme heat and extreme cold is terrible for you and it's probably a carcinogenic and it's probably this and that. Like, shit changes every few years. So God only knows what we've got next. Anyway, why did we decide to do this?
Okay, so we decided to do this because our baby sister Scarlett has had some sort of quarter-life crisis and now suddenly she enjoys health and fitness. As such, she tries all sorts of new activities and we wanted to join her for a session.
She is obsessed with this Hot Mat Pilates. She literally, I reckon, would go 3 times a day if she could. But at the moment, she's going 4 or 5 times a week and trying to fit in. She's also prepping for the New York Marathon.
Yes.
And I'm like, perhaps you should be doing more training for the New York Marathon than sitting in a Hot Mat Pilates room. But she's choosing to do the Hot Mat Pilates.
We fell off our chairs when she told us she was doing the New York Marathon because, to give you context, she was more of a slob kebab than I was and am. Wasn't she? She's really turned her life around.
Yeah, but also, when's the quarter-life crisis going to hit you in this respect? And you're going to start enjoying exercise and actually moving?
Well, I did actually have a quarter-life crisis at one point because remember when I did a half marathon?
Yes, you did.
That really shocked everyone.
It didn't quite last long enough, though.
So it was when I just moved to Melbourne and I could barely walk a kilometre and I thought to myself, it's now or never because I was about 24. And I slowly, with a friend who was equally as
unfit,
slob kebabby as me, we slowly worked our way up from not being able to walk a kilometre to walking a kilometre, then jogging a kilometre. And we did this half marathon, which is 21 kilometres or whatever it is.
Before you get into the actual day, truly and honestly, none of us in the family could believe that you're doing this because if you could say one person that you know that would never ever do something like that, it would be you.
I just wanted to prove that I could do it.
Because not only do you hate exercise, but running in particular, you absolutely hate.
And I can tell you what, I hated every step the minute I started and I hated every step the minute I finished.
But also, doesn't that just go to show, seriously, if Eliza can do it, I know this is cliche, but if Eliza can do it, literally anyone can.
I mean, it wasn't fast, but I did it and I did not stop. And I was doing like 6 to 7 minute
That's
pace.
fine.
It was slow. But, and the minute I finished that marathon, I have never jogged a step again. It truly scarred me. I'd get shin splints, I'd get sore knees, etc. But the whole family was that taken by this big epiphany and moment that I was partaking in, that they flew over. You were still living in Adelaide at this point. They flew over from Adelaide and they stood on the sidelines to watch me. And they missed me. They didn't catch a glimpse of me.
We accidentally stood somewhere where the full marathon was going, but the half marathon was going. And so then we realised she'd actually finished and we didn't get to see her at all because we were going to see a bit of it in the middle, like you running, and then you at the end finishing, and we didn't see one single bit.
I told you exactly where to stand, where to be, and then I rang you and you guys said, "Oh my God, how are you making a phone call? What are you running?" And I was like, "No, I'm making a phone call because I've finished."
That was bad. That was
bad.
Not good.
That was a complete waste of everyone's time. And like, if you didn't see me do it, did it really happen?
Well, that is very, very, very
I mean,
true.
The pictures show that I did it.
Did you get a medal?
I did get a medal, and the pictures that they send you afterwards, oh my God, the cankles were clomping along something chronic.
I'm sure you've kept the medal because that's something you would hoard.
Yeah,
for sure.
I absolutely hoarded the shit out of that. But Dad was a marathon runner. His fastest marathon time was 2 hours and 48.
Sorry, that ain't right. Why did none of us get the running gene?
I know, and 78 minutes was his fastest half, I believe.
And he did heaps. He did like all the
London and all the big
all that
ones.
gear,
I don't know if New York. I don't think he's done New York. The poor bastard now can barely walk with his caliper and bunions.
See, this is why you don't do marathons.
Yeah,
because you get
cooked in.
bunions and have to wear a caliper.
But anyway, we wanted to show our love and support to our sister, didn't we? And that's why we partook.
Not really.
In it.
I just wanted to try it because I hadn't tried it before.
And she actually didn't shut the F up about this class that's changed
her life.
Quite,
you know what? It was actually quite nice to see her so excited about something. That sounds
true.
awful.
No,
But
she's not an enthusiastic human. So it was
we
nice
are
to see her.
making her sound terrible. She's a wonderful, wonderful
No,
human.
but she's just a moody sort of Gen Y or whatever
no, but
they
I think
are.
she's just like that with us because I think she has all these like wonderful friendships and everyone at work loves her and everyone
thinks she's a
everyone loves her.
vibe.
But then she comes around us and I don't know if somehow we bring down her mood somehow. I don't know what we
had
do.
a coffee with her after the class as well, and she's like, "Oh, can you girls hurry
Hurry
up?
up.
And you finish?
And I was
Let's
like,
go."
I've
And
had
I was
one
like,
sip of my coffee,
I
doll.
know. Like, God,
Let
sorry.
a girl live.
Sorry to waste your life. Like, my
Yeah,
God,
spending
so
time
busy.
with us.
Like,
You'd think she would love
I
a couple
know.
of sisters that have, been on a
on the-
reality TV show.
no, I think it's
and-
the opposite. I think
yeah,
she's quite
I think
mortified.
she's embarrassed by us.
Have you tried? Oh, and also we always shout her coffee, so like, suck it up.
That's not
sis.
true. She buys us ones back.
Oh,
We
we
take it
buy
in
her
turns.
more than she buys us. As we
God,
should, because we no.
We need to get her on the podcast so she can have
She's
her
been on the podcast.
her shared views of you because you're just coming on here and she
No.
doesn't have a right of reply.
No, she's a wonderful human. She's just like a millennial, or whatever. She's younger and she likes a selfie, and she, how you
Anyway,
just get
let's
annoyed
move
by
on.
your family.
Let's move on.
Have you tried anything like this before?
I've never done anything in the real heat because I am a real weird. I get hot, don't I? We will be sitting on the couch at home and I'll be like, I'm sweating. Can I open the door? Can I put
Yeah.
the aircon on? And this is when it's winter.
Yeah.
I have night sweats during the night. I
Yeah.
have to like wash my sheets regularly because I sweat at night. I just am hot-blooded for some reason. So, and because I sort of get a few headaches and things like that, the heat doesn't help that. So I've never done heat scenarios before, but you know me, I love exercise and I love trying anything new.
We've actually thought you've been going through menopause a few times.
I'm not even joking. I've been like, am I going through perimenopause?
Yeah.
Because I get hot flashes on the reg.
And your estrogen is all over the joint. Like, you've had to have scans of your, what's it called? Pituitary
My
gland.
pituitary gland, and I've had to have all sorts of testing because I don't get a period, and my estrogen is very, very, very low.
Okay, so I've tried Pilates, but on a reformer bed or whatever those things are, those machines, and it was so horrific that I vowed never to return. And the reason it was horrific was because Lib, no word of a lie, could not do anything. I was shaking. I've just got no strength anywhere. And I was just shaking violently the whole time. And I was mortified. And I walked out so ashamed.
Because your choice of exercise is cardio, and you will sit on a bike, like you'll be like, oh, I've just been in the gym for 40 minutes, and I just know in the back of my head, you will have been sitting there just ticking your legs over at the slowest pace while on your phone doing other stuff. So strength has never been your cup of tea.
Or
whereas-
cardio, strength or cardio.
I know, but if you chose to do something, it would be very
Mild
low intensity cardio. Whereas for me, I'm massively into strength training. I love looking fit and toned and strong because I just know that's going to help me hopefully live a longer life, even though I always say that I'm going to die.
I
young.
love the idea of looking toned and fit, etc., but I'm not prepared to do the work.
Yeah,
I'd
so
rather
you-
eat
yeah,
food.
You actually have to do something about it if you want to look
Yeah.
like that.
What exercise do I like, Lib?
Low intensity cardio, as aforementioned.
Yes. But what I do is I dabble in some RPM at my gym, so some cycling. I don't hate yoga. And I want to let you know that I will never use the word I love or I like, because there is nothing that I love or like. I will say I don't hate. I don't violently,
When it comes to exercise, you're
dislike
talking about. There's things in life that
Oh,
you
God,
like
I love
or
food.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate dabbling occasionally in a boxing class if it wasn't too horrific.
And also if you're partnered with someone that you know, because there
Yes.
there is nothing worse than being partnered with someone who is better than you and you feel like you're letting them down the whole time in boxing.
Yeah. I just hate anything, as you said, super cardio or super strong, because I'm just super unfit and super weak.
But also you don't even like going for a walk, to be honest.
No, I know. I just don't really like moving, and the issue is that I have no guilt around not moving. You'll sit on the couch for 20 minutes and
I'll be
feel
like, oh,
bad,
I've got to go for a walk. Yeah.
and your little iWatch will say time to stand. Or actually, your watch has probably never shouted that at you, but mine just constantly goes off, time to stand, time to stand, time to stand. But I just don't. I have zero guilt about not moving.
We could not be more opposite people in this respect.
But also, I think the mountain for me to fitness and strength is just too big. And also, like, in those rare occasions, like when I did the half marathon, when my fitness and health was okay, I then stopped for a week or two, and then I'm back to square one.
But in comparison to what? The mountain's too high in comparison to what? You're obviously comparing yourself to people.
Just comparing myself to a base level of health and fitness. It's just too hard for me to get there. The journey is too long.
But see, this is your problem. You always think about the negatives and you think about why things are so hard, and
Yeah.
you should be thinking, oh, I'm lucky that I can actually exercise,
God,
and
yeah.
I should go out and do these things, and I know that it's good for my body, and
I should chip away at it slowly,
Yes.
but because I'm like, oh, it's too hard, it's too big, so it's going to be impossible. So I don't even have a go. And everyone always says, but oh my God, don't you feel so good after? Isn't it worth the exercising? But to be honest, exercise of any form doesn't make me feel good. I feel a little bit proud of myself that I've got off my wobbly arsehole, but I don't feel good. What it does is shine a light on the fitness that I've lost and how far I've got to go.
I also think, though, your mentality going into it means that you don't feel good after, because in the lead up to it, throughout the whole thing, and then as a result after, you've just got this negative mindset around it. So you're never going to walk out of it feeling positive if you're like, oh, I'm shit and I'm the fattest in the class and I sweat the most and
that
I
was
just
so
hate
embarrassing.
it and I'm so unfit. And
Yep.
So maybe you just need to change your mindset a little bit.
Oh, 100%. In the lead up, I was very anxious and I was messaging our sister group consistently being like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do it. Anticipation is what kills me. And I was actually losing sleep over doing the class. Your hip's buggered and I've got cooked knees. I've been to the physio for my knees, and that is actually because I'm not moving much. And so now that I am trying to sort of move a little bit more with things, my body can't cope. So that's quite disturbing.
The couch has swallowed you. Our
Correct.
couch has swallowed you.
Yeah. You are always the best and the fittest and the strongest at everything. You are at all those classes.
Not in a class. Like, I didn't walk
Yes.
into that class and I was the fittest person in there. Are you kidding
But
me?
I feel like
I'm the fittest out of you and I, and the best out of you and I, not the class.
you and me.
Whatever.
I'm the fittest. No, maybe that was I.
Yeah, because
anyway.
I'm, yes. I think I was right.
But
Anyway, because
do you find it confronting when you know you're going to be in an environment where you haven't mastered something or where you're not really good at it? Like, I feel like the fact that your hip's cooked and that you've been set back, that must really kill you, because normally you're very capable and very strong and you can just master everything.
do you know what? I'm always just competitive with myself. I'm not really that competitive with other people when it comes to exercise. It's more so for myself. So I wasn't walking into that being like, oh, if I'm not the fittest in here. I never think like that. I couldn't care less if I'm the fittest or not, or if I can do things or not. It's more so the frustration of just not being able to do the things that I used to do.
Okay.
That's what it is for me. But also, and I'm sure we'll get to this as well, but I felt really self-conscious because I don't feel good about what I look like at the moment. So for me, I felt self-conscious because I was also wearing something that I haven't worn in a long time and I didn't feel super comfortable in.
Yeah, okay. Well, I get really embarrassed when I can't do something, or when I shake, or when I sweat. What I do is I'll poke fun at myself preemptively. I'll acknowledge my sweat, or acknowledge that I'm crap, or acknowledge that I'm going to be bad, so that I can embarrass myself on my terms and beat people to it.
Do you look around at other people when you're in a class and go, they're shaking, or they're sweating? Like, no one is looking at you. No one cares. No one is looking at you. Everyone just does their own thing. This is what I used to say, because our little sister used to be the same. She's like lost a fair bit of weight, but she used to go to gym classes and she used to be like, oh my God, I just like feel so self-conscious. And I'm like, no offense. Like, you've got tickets on yourself if you think everyone's looking at you, but no one's looking at you. No one gives a shit. Everyone is focusing on their same journey. In fact, I would actually look at people if they're overweight or something and be like, good bloody on you for getting out there. I never would look at someone and laugh or think, oh dear, they're sweating so much.
I know, but I think I just hate failing, and I just want to acknowledge that going into something, I might be crap at it, or I might fail, just FYI, because the embarrassment to me of failing in something
I understand that
is overwhelming.
And then what will happen if you fail at that? People are going to laugh at you, do you think?
Well, no, I'm just embarrassed. So I won't try things if I can help it, if there's a risk that I might be bad at it or I might fail. And it's stopped me from doing so much in life.
That's just such a shame because, like I said, just no one gives a shit. Like, literally the worst thing that can happen is that you fall over and people are like, oh, you okay?
I think it started at school, like, because we went to quite a sort of competitive bitchy all-girls school. And whilst we had good experiences in school, like I hope you don't mind me saying, like you developed an eating disorder because of the judgment you felt and the pressure you felt to be the most, the most attractive, popular. Is that fair to say? Or to fit in, or
not? It wasn't attractive or popular at all. It was just the fact that, like, literally where it stemmed from was a day that we were in our sporting class and we all had to weigh.
Well, yeah,
which is horrific, and I'm hoping they don't do that in school anymore. And I was one of the, even though I was absolutely within normal range, I was an average. In fact, I was probably on the I thought lighter end of things, but I was on the scales heavier than most of the class, and that's what set it off for me.
And you had to do that in front. You had to weigh in
front of people, and then everyone was talking about it after. So I think for me, I was just like, oh my God, it had never been something I had even considered. I didn't care about my weight, nothing. But it was when everyone was talking about it that it was like, oh, I'm actually, yeah.
Yeah, well, I always needed to, I just had this pressure on myself to be the coolest person. And it's not like I necessarily was, but I just wanted to be friends with everyone and I didn't want them to poke fun at me and I didn't want them to laugh at me. So with sports at schools, I didn't want to be bad, so I just wouldn't really try it.
But isn't it funny now, though? I feel like that's what people like about you and relate to you the most is when you do try something, i.e. that breakdancing challenge that we did on the block. Yep. You just threw yourself into it and, you made yourself slug on the floor and, look a bit silly. But people absolutely love that because they were like, oh, my God, I can't dance either, but you gave it a go and I just absolutely loved that. Like it's just such a shame that you stop yourself from doing so much just because you think people are going to make fun of you or you're going to embarrass yourself, whereas that's just not
because I thought
case.
If I mess up, the cool people aren't going to want to be seen with me because how embarrassing. Because if you're a cool kid,
do you still feel like that now though?
No, if you were a cool kid, you were with the you were athletic and you were all of the things.
Yeah.
So I mean that's horrific, and I hope what I take away from school is, my God, that just meant nothing. I wish so badly that I knew then what I know now, and where those cool kids are now. It's quite funny to think. It's just not how school works out, and I hate that was our mindset. But yeah, I actually had serious, I know you'll laugh at this, I actually had serious athletic potential. Like Mum says that I was the best swimmer out of all of us.
I won't laugh at that because, I know you were a good swimmer. You were a really good swimmer.
Yeah, and you were a good swimmer. Scarlett was a good swimmer. You won all the awards, and I was, Mum said, a better swimmer than both of you, but I just stopped swimming.
You had natural ability.
So I just stopped because, I just was worried that I'd fall on my face.
Yeah, see, such a shame.
Anyway, that eventually led to all my anxiety and depression, but, that's a more serious chat for another day. But it's a mental game, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is.
And I think that was years of seeing a psychologist and working on my mental health that I was able to turn that around and just embrace the fact that I could be crap at things, and if I am, who cares? And now I inspire people with my crapness.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, people relate to you because of it, and it also encourages people to try it because they're like, oh, well, you can fall on your face and it doesn't mean anything and you can just get up and try again, and that's what people do.
But having said that, I still feel very inwardly uncomfortable and self-conscious going into these things. I exercise so I can eat yummy food. Exercise doesn't give me joy. Food does.
See, I exercise for joy because I genuinely really like doing it and it makes me feel so good. And I like, even though you sometimes tell me you think I look too manly, I like the look of being strong and toned and having, strong shoulders and that kind of thing.
Well, I want you to be happy, so whatever makes you happy, but sometimes you do look a bit like a bodybuilder.
I like looking like a bodybuilder.
But your mental health is a lot of it comes from moving and physicality.
Like, even on a day that I don't do anything, I'm a little bit agitated, and even that's just going for a really slow walk or doing a Pilates or something like that. I just feel like I need to do something. It just mentally makes me feel so much better.
It's an outlet for you.
It truly is.
Research is actually showing that exercise is or can be as effective as antidepressants, but I've just never experienced that.
Yeah, well.
But it's a vicious cycle, I guess. The less you do, the worse you feel, and the worse you feel, the harder it is to motivate yourself to do more and then improve. So it's like this hamster wheel, and I just feel like I'm on this hamster wheel.
But do you know what I've learnt? that it's not even about motivation. You just have to, because there's so many days where I'm not motivated, but you have to push past that and you've just got to do it because you know how, but you just don't do that.
Well,
You're just like, nah.
I think I overthink things. Whereas like I think Mel Robbins once said you've got to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and then just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Neither of us is good with the heat.
No.
I hate sweating. I just find it embarrassing. I mean, what's new? My life is lived in fear of embarrassment.
I was actually surprised that you even said yes to this
I
because
know.
you literally hate sweating.
Yep, I hate
you
exercise.
hate exercise. It was fairly early-ish on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
You hate being up early.
Yeah. Got to do it for the pod, babe.
Yeah, I guess so. You don't like trying new things. It was literally all the
know.
things that you dislike.
I know, but I'm trying to be better. I'm on a mild medication that amplifies sweating. So I drip, even when I'm just going for a walk, from my scalp and my neck. So, yeah, I had to take a very large, what you would call gooby headband to try and absorb all of it so that I could actually physically see. But I hate sweating around people. To me, it represents someone being really unfit and a bit unwell. But some people are just big sweaters.
But also, your fear is sweating in an exercise class, and literally
I know.
everyone sweats in an exercise class. So I'm like, and you should have seen me in this class. We'll get to it.
You should have worn a gooby headband.
No, I would rather
Sweatband.
be dripping than wear a gooby headband.
I think I might wear, if I go again, I think I might wear
a beanie.
Those
Wristband.
wristbands that
Please
tennis players, sweatbands that they wear around their
See,
wrists.
It's funny. You're embarrassed about sweating, but you're not embarrassed about wearing gooby sweatbands to a Pilates
they're the
class.
least of my worries about embarrassment. But the reason I'm triggered by sweat is because I remember when we would go to discos and we'd wear those ugly tight-fitted shirts at school. You know those tight-fitted little shirts that we would wear with skirts to discos?
Well, they like those. Yeah, they were actually, I feel like they had a name. They're almost 3/4
Yes!
shirts. Yes. And they
Yes.
were really tight around the sort of
the
stomach region.
And
yeah.
it was almost like you sort of picture Britney Spears in
Yeah, toxic.
or Hit Me Baby,
No, Hit Me
One
Baby
More
One
Time,
More
or
Time.
one
Yeah,
of
yeah,
those.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like almost like a
Yes.
tight school shirt.
Yes.
'Cause you're a naughty, naughty girl.
What's that got to do with anything? You'd
No,
sweat
what
through
I'm
that.
saying to you is that I would get sweat marks when we'd be at discos, and I just remember that I think people poked fun at me, and I think it's trauma from that. And now I'm fine with my sweating, but it's that trauma that stuck with me.
Well, the key, I think, to this class is trying to hydrate somewhat before this class so you are hydrated going into it. Now, for someone whose urine is literally
Brown.
dark brown and looks like diarrhea,
Yeah.
I can conclude that you probably weren't super hydrated before this
no.
class. Is that accurate?
Well, also, I don't want to then have to piss mid-class.
Yeah, but I think 45 minutes you can last.
No, I wasn't hydrated, but also I can run on low water, which isn't good, but I can get to
I
the end
cannot.
of a day and be like, oh my God, I have not had a sip of water
That's
today.
so bad.
It's actually so bad, but our dad's like that too. It's really
that is
bad.
so bad. I sort of felt in the lead up safety in numbers, like going with you and going with our little sister.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't sort of anticipate it too much because I felt quite comfortable. But then the night before, our little sister texted us and she was like, just want to let you know, bring a big towel for your mat, bring a little towel for the sweat, bring your drink bottle, bring a change of clothes for after because you sweat so much, and dress for the heat. So she was like, I wear bike shorts and a crop top.
I mean, so obviously I wanted to pull out then and there because I had planned to wear a muumuu,
Yeah.
which is a very large, loose dress essentially.
But that's where my anxiety came in because I used to, when I felt good about myself, wear that and feel quite good.
Yes.
But now that I've put on a fair bit of weight, I don't feel comfortable at all in that. But I was like, okay, just do this because you're going to be sweating so much. And, you know, what's worse, having a full top on a T-shirt that you're like going to have to wring out at the end. So I ended up wearing it, but I felt so self-conscious the whole time.
And power to you because I switched on my brain that whole morning to try and notice whether you'd self-deprecate because I knew you'd be down on yourself and you'd abuse yourself because you're doing that a lot lately. I'm trying to pay attention to it so I can pull you up on it, but you didn't. But I know you were trying really hard just to move forward.
I was like, just do it. But I felt in my head, I was like, ugh.
She also said, bring some grip socks. And so I packed my grip socks, but Lib saw the said grip socks and said, you can't possibly allow them on your feet.
Because they were fluoro, blue, pink, green, yellow, striped. You would have stood out like a sore thumb and that's what you were trying not to do.
So what did I have to do? Expose my cankles.
And your little piggly wigglies.
My little piggly wiggly toes. Now, let's set the scene. So no makeup, no fake tan, I hadn't shaved. I just thought to myself, I just don't care. Like, who's going to be there Sunday morning?
Yeah.
It's going to be all girls.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to impress anyone. Like, I look disgusting anyway. I feel gross about my body, so I may as well just embrace the grossness.
Yeah, I'd never spoken to anyone that goes to this one, so I'm like, we're safe.
And I knew that if I put on a face of makeup that you would pay me out. So I didn't.
Well, no, because I usually actually do for my PT sessions and stuff, put on a little bit of concealer and stuff.
That's because you're worried you might bump into someone you know.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So we did a video in the car prior to the session. And I just said, I pray we don't see anyone we know because I hate exercising and I hate sweating in front of people.
And I was like, oh, Eliza, don't be ridiculous.
And we actually acknowledge that we've never looked more like anus.
Yeah.
And as we're walking in, we hear a beep from a car. And I turn around and I'm like, was that beep for us, Lib? And you said, don't be ridiculous, Eliza. Not everything's about you. And so I was like, okay.
Yeah, I was like,
good.
I think it was someone just shutting their car door and locking it and then it does that sound.
Well, lo and behold, we walk in and it ended up being our mate Clint Stanaway, who we love. We love Clint, but he's, first of all, a bit of an athlete these days.
Yeah.
So he
was on the cover of Men's Health.
Oh, yes, good context there, Lib.
He goes to my personal trainer, and so I know a lot about his fitness journey, and he's very fit, and he goes about 4 or 5 times a week.
But what scares me the most, Lib, is that he is on a breakfast radio show here in Melbourne, Jason Lauren, and he makes a living out of radio fodder from other people's misfortunes.
So you think he might use? You thought he might use you as
his
a target
radio
for
fodder because he's in fact done that before.
Yes.
So that just sent me spiraling.
Particularly with your little piggly wigglies.
My little piggly wigglies, my cankles, no tan, no makeup, an outfit that we were wearing.
So you thought he was going to get on his show and be like, oh,
Yeah.
I saw Eliza from the block and she had her piggly wigglies out and she had no fake tan on and she looked so ugly because she had no makeup on. Like,
she jokes about the cankles, but my God, I saw them in real life and it's a sight to behold.
They smacked me in the face.
Or I was worried
they ate me.
Or that I was worried that maybe I would fall and break my arm in the class and it was like, for the first time ever, someone breaks their arm just doing Mat Pilates class or I would faint or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just like, Eliza, please don't mess up.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be radio fodder. But and the other thing is I was like, oh, this would be right. He normally does the Weekend Today show, which is normally in Sydney, and this was a Sunday morning, and this was my first and only class of ever doing this. So the chances of us aligning on this were like 0.1 chance or whatever. And so I was like, oh, thanks, universe.
Yeah,
because
he was in Melbourne because he had his godson's christening, so he wasn't working. So, I mean, all the stars were aligning against me. Stars were aligning, weren't they?
And also, there was 2 men in the entire class. And I'm not lying. There would have been 40 females, wouldn't there?
Yep, absolutely.
So,
and they were all very fit and very attractive.
They were absolute hotties, I'm telling you.
Oh, my God.
No, they were all wearing their bikinis.
Yeah.
No one, like every single person except me had their navel out.
Yeah. Everyone was in crop tops.
Everyone looked like they were off the cover of Women's Health.
Yeah.
No one had makeup on as such, but not one of them needed makeup. No. I don't know, people listening will be like, but you don't need makeup, fine. That's nice.
Also, they've never seen us without makeup.
Yeah,
they
it's
all
a scary
did that
sight.
no makeup week.
But they were just stunning. They were just all models. Yeah. I just think like...
And also, we were probably the oldest in the class by maybe 10 years.
By a country mile. But yeah, I was essentially wearing a muumuu compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
Like I have every ounce of my body covered that I could. But I still had, I was wearing a singlet and long tights, but I had arm vaginas. Does anyone know what arm vaginas are?
I do.
It's where you have fat bulging from the sides under your arms
Under your
of
pits.
your
Pits.
sports bra.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
And it looks like, they
A
look
little
like
vagina.
vaginas that
Yeah.
are under your arms.
Yeah.
So I just had my arm vaginas on show. No one else there had a single arm vagina in sight. Anyway.
And in my bike pads, and this is everyone will roll their eyes, but I say at the moment I've got 2 bums. Like I've got my bum cheek and then I've got like a little roll of like a second bum underneath. They didn't have that either.
By the way, guys, if we have kids, we're turning this around because I don't want kids to
There's
hear this
no
gear.
way. We can't be talking like this about ourselves.
We cannot be talking about this. And
we
we're going to
shouldn't
do
be anyway.
I'm going to do an episode on trying to not be self-deprecating for a week. It's going to be deeply
It's literally
impossible.
going to be impossible.
Because you don't even notice. And you
Neither do you. This is what annoys me. You put
You're
this on
worse
me
than me.
all the time. You constantly say stuff. You obviously do it subconsciously because I think you do it more than me.
My GUNT, like my stomach, right? And I'll make jokes about it, but you deeply abuse yourself.
I think you do
Deeply
too.
abuse yourself. Anyway, what did the class entail? So the lady at the door was crossing people's names off, and I said, "Oh my God, am I gonna die?"
Because you're like, I'm so unfit.
I'm so unfit. And she's like, "Oh no, you'll be fine." But it did take my partner, who's just started trying it. Like it did take her a few classes. She was very overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So she said, "Just make sure you get a spot."
Near
By the door at the back.
Mm.
And where did we go? The furthest away from the door at the front.
That's no word of a lie. Because by the time we got in, because you were fart-assing around,
Yeah.
even though we got there early and we were all prepared and stuff, you were like, oh, I need to go to the toilet, and you were piss-farting around,
Yeah.
putting your stuff in the locker
Nervous
and whatever. So by the time we got in there, all that was left
Yep.
was literally the furthest
Yep.
away by the window over the other side. Not a window that opens, might
No.
I mention.
And at the front.
And at the front. And who was directly
Directly
behind
my
us?
anus.
Clint
Clint
Stanaway.
Actual kill me. So she goes, light to medium weight today. Well, obviously I went straight to the 1 kilo weights. And honestly, I could barely lift those in
Yeah.
the class. There was a bit of burpee and high knee action, which I was not remotely interested in.
Yeah.
I nearly passed away because when
Yeah.
you're inhaling boiling hot air,
Yeah.
that's not okay. I can't even do them in normal temperature air.
I will say, though, she did say before we went in, she's like, go at your own pace.
Yeah.
If you're not feeling great, which obviously some people aren't throughout the class,
Well, everyone looked good.
just do child's pose. So sit down into child's pose, or just, if you really need, walk out, which you didn't walk out, which
No, I
is
didn't
very
walk out, but
impressive.
Lib, no one's doing child pose there.
No.
No one's going at their own pace. They're all going at her pace. Like, so I did stick out like a bit of a sore thumb.
I don't think you did at all. See, this is where your brain is cooked because you thought you did and you absolutely didn't.
There's a really giant mirror that you can stare at and watch yourself flail about in.
flop around.
Can I also say, as I mentioned at the top of the show, packed in like absolute sardines.
Yeah.
There were so many people. You could barely outstretch your arms. You were inhaling hot COVID. Honestly and truly, you were inhaling other people's breath.
Well, we sort of got there early thinking, oh, there won't be that many people around, but it was the swap over of class. And even that was intimidating because there was just so many people. You didn't know where to put your shit. You didn't know where to go. You didn't know what room you were in. Everyone's hot and flustered and trying not to get in the way of each other. And so I was feeling a bit like, oh, God. It starts you off feeling a bit like cookers.
We were the only new people there, definitely.
We genuinely were. And so, we felt a little bit sort of intimidated going into the class for that reason, already.
Hangovers were coming out of people's pores, I reckon.
Oh, but
like
that's why
seeping
people
out
go,
of
I
pores.
reckon, to get it out of their pores.
I don't know. I just felt like a headless chook, a hoodless check, a headless chook. Because I'm so uncoordinated and I was constantly looking to others and you particularly for direction because I just didn't understand what she was saying, and she moved quite quickly, and so I was always so late with picking things up. And the first words I said when I finished was, oh my God, I need a croissant. And I announced that to the whole class.
Yeah. See, isn't it? That's your protective mechanism, I reckon.
Yep.
Having to do a gag.
Self-shame.
Yeah.
But you handled it really
Well,
well.
I really liked it because I was a bit worried going into it with my hip situation. And there was definitely things I had to change. There was some exercises that I just couldn't do. But again, I feel like it's a really good class to do that because you can go at your own pace. You can drop the weights. You can kind of do what you want to do at your pace. So it is quite a good class, I think, for beginners that haven't done something like that before.
Everyone's quite serious. Like, it's a bunch of lemmings, as in like they go in, they follow instructions, they do not look anywhere.
Shit, that's what you
and
do.
Nobody is having a laugh.
What are you going to laugh at?
I'll just have a bit of a vibe, have a bit of fun, have it like, but everyone, it was like the military.
We weren't though. We were having fun. I kept looking back at Clinton like laughing and stuff like that.
That was the only fun that was to be had. Clint actually texted afterwards and he's like, do you want me to submit my feedback? And I was like, absolutely not, because I won't go back. If he says something if he points out somewhere where I embarrass myself,
because then everyone will look at you next time.
I won't be able to go back. I won't possibly be able to do it again.
My favourite moment was when we had to do these things called dead bugs. Now, for those of you that don't know what that is, it's where you lay on your back and you put your hands and your feet up and you, with your opposite hand, with your opposite leg, you sort of push it out and you swap it, and you just
I couldn't do it.
not for the life of you, like alternate your arms and your legs.
I'm not that you know when people pat their head and do their stomach, like I just can't. I just don't have coordination.
Anything that was coordination focused,
I couldn't do.
opt out.
What
for
I
Eliza.
disliked was ankles out, bare feet, sweating. And just how like military precision everyone was. So if you fell over or something, everyone would look at you. It was.
See, I disagree. This is all in your head. I started out because you sort of start out doing a floor series, so it's like glutes and stuff, everything from the floor. And I started out being like, this is a bit of a piece of piss. Like I'm not that sweaty, and I don't know that I'm going to get that sweaty. By about 10 minutes in, I was dripping, legitimately. Scarlett and I were both as if we would have a shower. Like it was literally just drip, 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 dripping. You weren't because you were wearing your Gooby headband.
Yeah.
And you try not to stop because there's actual drinks breaks where she'll be like, okay, stop and towel yourself down and stuff. So I'm like, oh my God, I can't towel myself and I'm just dripping and dripping. I reckon I truly could have filled about 2 drink bottles with that sweat.
You know, it's your own fault for not wearing a Gooby headband. What I liked was that it was over quickly. I liked that you can adapt it to your own level of fitness, even though I was the only one doing that. And I did find that the heat actually made me a bit more limber. So I wasn't, because we're geriatrics now, with our fitness issues, I actually didn't find my knees in as much pain
that's good.
as usual. But I was very, 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 very sore the next day.
You've jumped ahead to the likes. I still want to chat through a couple of dislikes that I had. Now, what grosses me out in life more than anything is hair. And what grosses me out even more so than that is hair on sweaty or wet skin.
Ugh.
At one point, I looked over at our little sister Scarlett,
and
and on the side of her leg, she had the longest hair you've ever seen curled up in a little ball on her leg. And I was like, ugh!
So did it look like
Scarlett,
a giant
get it
pubie?
off. Yes, it was foul. Anyway, she was trying to get it off. And then I kept feeling, because I made the mistake of putting my hair down and then putting it back up again to get it a bit tighter before the class. And obviously some hair had dropped down onto my back. So the whole class I was itchy. And then I could just feel these bits of hair. And I was like trying to get it off the whole time, trying to reach back. And then I was like, everyone's behind me looking at me getting this hair off and it's making them feel sick. And
the turnover between classes is so quick.
Yes,
so they
clean.
churn through them. So like you're sitting in other people's.
Can I also tell you on a side note, I went swimming at the pool yesterday and there is truly, truly, truly nothing grosser than a change room at a public pool.
No, I can't.
I got into the shower and there was, I reckon,
No, please,
3
please.
huge clumps of hair. There was hair on the walls. There was hair everywhere.
I can't.
And I wear thongs in there, but like I could just feel, and for the rest of the day, I'm like, oh, I've just got hair all over me. It is so rank. And yeah, you're complaining about, other people's feet. Your Piggly Wigglies are worse than anyone else. And our little sister has ingrown toenails. So hers were probably, pussing about everywhere.
Oh my God. Yeah. But she doesn't care about putting her pus feet in people's faces. Fear of hair. I want to just quickly Google that. Anyway,
What,
keep
if
going.
there's a name for it?
Fear of hair. Trichophobia.
I've got trichophobia. I have got
Or
trichophobia.
chaetophobia is an irrational fear of hair. It can manifest as a fear of seeing, touching, or having hair on the body or clothing, or even a fear of hair loss.
That is me.
The fear can lead to anxiety, avoidance behaviours, and physical reactions like nausea or panic attacks. You're verging on that here.
Absolutely. Now, I really loved it though. I loved that it was something different. For me, because I haven't been able to do a lot of strength stuff for a long period of time because of my hip, I felt that it burned in places that hasn't for a long time, which I loved. As you said, I woke up so sore the next day in areas that I hadn't for ages, but in a really, really good way. My hip was fine. It didn't hurt because I modified exercises. But the whole time I was literally thinking, oh my God, everyone's just looking at my ass jiggling.
Well, see, you say that I'm paranoid. You're just as paranoid. You've got your own hang-ups.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but you're saying
How's
it's
that a
in your head. It's in
surprise?
your head. So that's in your head. Because you actually don't have a jiggly ass.
Okay. I did feel quite drained for the rest of the day though. I think just not being used to the heat and the sweat coming out of you, it is sort of quite draining. But yeah, I just love the experience. I did, even though we talk about the hair and the bare feet and stuff, it was very clean, the space.
I just tried not to look.
Well, yeah. Everyone wipes down their mat and their weights and stuff with spray bottles and wipes and all of
I've
that.
got to wipe down my weights. I didn't do that. Are you supposed to?
That's nice. Yes, you are
But
supposed to do that.
You made me wipe down my mat because I wasn't going to because I wasn't dripping. I had my headband to absorb. Anyway, but I did, everyone. Calm down.
I do think it's up to the individual to protect themselves. They give you all of the information you need to, if you're not feeling great, to walk out of the room or to do this sort of pose or to hydrate or whatever. So they do give you that. So it's up to yourself to do it.
She said, the lady, the instructor, that she'd come around and correct people. I didn't get corrected once.
No, she probably had too much. So she was like,
she
oh,
just
it's
gave up with me.
hard.
She just left me to my own devices. I'm proud that I pushed myself out of my comfort zone. I will say that. I actually would
do it again.
do it again because there's less uncertainty now. I know what to expect.
Yes, you're not so intimidated.
Yeah, but I would like to see myself progress. And if there is an improvement, that's a bit embarrassing as well. Like if Clint sees me in a month and I haven't improved, that would be embarrassing.
That's true.
The cost, I will mention, very expensive, $35 a class. So if you wanted a membership, you'd probably have to sell a kidney.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy packages and things like that, but it is, I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I'll probably buy a package, but I already do personal training.
You
and I have a gym membership and
prioritise
stuff, so
payments for health and fitness.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try and have one less coffee a day so that I can do one class a
I'll believe
week.
that when I say it.
Yeah. Anything else, my sweet angel?
No, but I highly recommend it, even for beginners. Give it a go. It's good fun, but make sure you hydrate.
Oh my God, let's do an old school. Would you try again or would you rather die?
Okay.
Well,
I will try again, definitely.
me too.
How wonderful.
Oh my God, what a positive.
All right, Hall of Fame.
Oh, can I say, let's try aerial yoga.
Yeah, that would actually be really fun. I reckon I would enjoy that.
Such a fun one to try.
I need to make sure I go to the bathroom and empty not my bowels, but my bladder before then.
Well, in case you piss
Piddle.
on someone.
Because I'm actually about to piddle right now.
Let's give us your suggestions if there's some fun new weird gear we can try, because I think that's what makes it interesting when you don't know what to expect, and the class goes quite quickly if you sort of new to the experience.
All right, Hall of Fame. Now, this has got a little bit of vomit in it, but it's just a really fun. We're getting so many of these vomit DMs from people that I just have to share it. So if you're not into the vomit story, switch off now.
But it's not going to describe the actual vomit, is
No,
it?
but this is quite a funny one because it's sort of actually got to do with us in a way. This is very long. This is actually over 5 screenshots, so I'm going to try and sort of as best I can
summarize it.
So this lady, first of all, says she's a fan from South Africa. I'm not going to name her name because we respect everyone's anonymity. She actually says the country that you don't like.
I know,
because remember
we
you
joke
talk about how
about
you don't like that.
I say that I don't love an accent, and South African accents grind on me a little bit, but the people I've met are truly wonderful.
Now, she tells one spew story first, but I'm not going to go into that because the second one is way better. So she starts this by saying, stay tuned for the doozy of a story of me, myself, and I being a total hungover trash bag. Okay, so this was only 2 weeks ago. I am an almost 45-year-old. Me and my 2 best girlfriends from high school had a girls' night out and had a couple of pre-dinner margaritas, then some dinner with wine and an end-of-night cocktail. All in all, not a massive night, but a lot of booze, especially for me because I don't drink that much at all. I wake up early in the morning at the hotel where we're staying, and that feeling comes over me when you know you're going to have a vom. I managed to get to the bathroom and was sick in the loo, but I was not able to just hop back into bed. I had to drive home. It was an hour and 50 minutes drive home.
I hate that.
I got myself some KFC in an attempt to soak up the alcohol, ate it in a car park and then continued. I then pulled over on the side of the road because I was tired. So very sensible. Once I woke up, I popped on my favourite podcast, Try Before You Die. You two were having a wow of a time with loads of put chat and vom and pus. It was all a go. Now, remember I'd eaten the KFC and the brown paper bag was on the passenger floor and I felt the voms coming on as a result of us talking about
Oh my God, she probably had potato and gravy, which looks like pus.
Panicking as I was doing 100 kilometres, I reached over and grabbed the bag, popped it on my lap, felt the voms rising and leapt forward as I'm still driving and spewed into the KFC bag.
God.
But oh no, some overshot the bag. Oh, the humiliation. And then I'll just summarize the next bit. Basically, her friend ended up driving past, saw her car parked on the side of the road and got out and asked her if she was okay. Oh, my God.
Thank God she was by herself in the car, though.
I just find it so funny that she was listening to our chat and that actually brought on her spew.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry. Everyone. Well, look, hot tip. If you're feeling unwell and you want to make yourself sick.
Yeah, listen to the
so that you can feel better, just chuck the podcast on. Wowee.
Keep bringing us all of your good Hall of Fame gear because we love, reading you out on our podcast.
And hey, sorry if you don't like the gross gear, but we're going to put a warning in front of each bit so you can switch off. If you like to like us is to like the fact that we like juvenile gear.
This is who we are.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Not sorry.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
Hashtag not sorry.
We appreciate you, but not enough to change who we are.
Now, you know where to find us. Follow us on the gram, Eliza and Liberty. Follow Try Before You Die wherever you get your potties. Give us a review. Follow on the iApple, the iSpotify. Watch us on the i9 Now. What is it? iYouTube. I'm out of breath.
And get out there and try Hot Mat Strong Pilates, guys. Bye.